Hello, universe. What's up? It's your girl, Brandy619, and I'm coming to you with a serious video and something like a PSA on today. So, to start out with today's news, came down my Google feed today. Lauren Braxton, okay, which is a Braxton niece. She is the daughter of the male Braxton, the brother of the Braxton girls, Tony Braxton, Tawanda Braxton, so on and so forth. She's their niece. She passed away April 29th at the age of 24. And initially, the story came out, that she had heart complications and that she had some health issues before. And I thought that she died from some kind of a heart failure or heart complications or something like that, because heart disorders are very, they're very touchy. They are very delicate. Okay. My mother has heart issues, and my grandmother had heart issues as well. So that's something that's really near and dear to me. So initially, I thought that it was a heart issue. However, the medical examiner of Baltimore, Maryland, did conclude that she died from a heroin and fentanyl overdose. So the heroin and fentanyl overdose. Now, let's talk about heroin. Everybody knows what heroin. You can either smoke heroin or you can inject heroin. Um, One of the older ways back in the day, as a matter of fact, my husband's father passed away from a heroin overdose when he was about 8 or 9. Okay. Back then in the 70s, heroin was a huge thing. And what was happening is that people were started stepping on the heroin to make more money and to make more of a product, but it wasn't as pure as it once was. They started cutting it with a whole bunch of garbage, and it was killing people. So now it seems as if there's a comeback for the opiates. There's a comeback, and the reason why I think there's a comeback is because this drug fentanyl mimics the effects of heroin. Okay, and the thing is that you get fentanyl prescribed to you by a doctor, so it is legal. Okay. Now fentanyl can either come in a patch or it can come in the lozenger. Okay. Put into the mouth. Now, I know firsthand how this looks. And if this young lady was abusing heroin slash fentanyl, I know that there were some signs, period. Okay. Now, I have a family member that wears a fentanyl patch, and one fentanyl patch is okay. It's for severe pain. But when you start becoming codependent, because fentanyl is a narcotic, you begin hearing those people that wear those patches saying that one patch is not enough. You begin to abuse it and crave it and need it, just like any other drug, because it is a drug. Legal or not, it is still a drug, and it has terrible side effects, and it has terrible and you can die from it. You can overdose from it. And one of the ways that you can overdose, which is something that I believe that my family member is doing, is wearing 2 patches at a time, because she says that one patch is not enough for her severe or chronic pain. And that's what it's used for. Most cancer patients or people that are like at the end of their life and they're just in such severe pain, this is something that the doctors will prescribe to them to just keep them kind of out of their misery while they're in the process of making that transition into the next realm. Okay, so I wanted to touch today on fentanyl. Now, something that stuck out to me is that it said a heroin fentanyl overdose, and a heroin fentanyl overdose to me says that this was a non-pharmaceutical version of the fentanyl. This is like a street version where they mix heroin and fentanyl together. Now, if you get it from a doctor, they will give you fentanyl. That is a pharmaceutical, the pharmaceutical blend. If you get it out on the street, you can get this mix of heroin and fentanyl. But what I want to tell you about fentanyl, and this comes from Medical News Today, and the reason why I know about this is because I had to send I had to screenshot these and send this to my family members in another state where that family member that I have is abusing her fentanyl. Now, when I said that there had to have been signs of this young lady abusing it, it's because it's just like heroin. When you are on this fentanyl, you do nod out. You can be in the middle of a conversation and just start falling out. Okay, if you seeing people just nodding off, I know you see these people on the street all the time, nodding off, standing still, nodding off. Okay, it's a scary thing because if you're under the influence of this fentanyl and you're in your home, say if you smoke, you can fall out, you drop your cigarette, start a huge house fire, people can get killed, you can kill yourself. If you are doubling up on your patches, you can definitely overdose because what happens is the body starts to relax so much, okay? And in relaxing so much, your lungs will begin to relax as well. And when your lungs begin to relax, you can stop breathing, which is how most of these people are overdosing because their body is extremely relaxed. Okay, some people try to do this, take these patches and overuse it, and they're falling out and nodding out, and they try to go cook, they try to drive cars. In their mind, they're totally fine. Okay, but realistically, on the outside looking in, you looking at these people like hello, wake up. Like, you know what I'm saying? You in the middle of driving, like you got the stove, like what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You like snap out of it. Okay? But it's hard for these people to snap out of it because they're addicted. Okay? And I think at this point the people that I blame the most are the doctors that are prescribing it and not weaning these people off of it. They just keep giving it to them. And my family member even told another family member, my doctor won't take me off of it. Well, does he see how you are under the influence when you are double dipping? Okay, so I'm feeling like, what do you mean he won't take you off of it? I'm feeling like someone needs to be calling her doctor and telling on her. Okay, because honestly, and very honestly, at this point, I kind of am just waiting for that call that she has OD'd as well. Okay? I just have to be honest with you. This is someone who helped raise me very, very close to me, and I see it, and I've been looking at her, and I've been telling my mom, that's not okay. Like, I said, Mama, is she on heroin? She said, nah, she take the pain medication and fentanyl. She get the package from her doctor. I said, Mama, she has to be abusing this because that's not normal what she's doing. So anyway, let me get into this. So fentanyl, now this was last updated as of the 22nd of January 2019. And this article is by Kathleen Davis. And it was reviewed by Alan Carter, PharmD. Okay, so fentanyl is roughly 100 times more potent than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin. Okay, now y'all do the math. Okay, because it don't take a genius, it don't take a Einstein or a rocket scientist to figure out that's deadly. Okay, period. Yet and still, this is what's being prescribed by doctors to patients who are not dying of cancer. Okay, are not terminally ill. But these patients come in and say, oh my God, my back hurt. And a lot of times that's just bogusness because they just want more drugs. Now they're hooked and it ain't the pain. It's the pain from not having the narcotic anymore that they feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna go in here and tell my doctor I'm still hurting. And he gonna give you some more of that. And that's exactly what doctors are doing. Okay? They're making big bucks off of every single one of y'all that's hooked, period. So, anywho, it says it is the most potent opioid pain reliever available for use in medical treatment today. Okay? Now, Although fentanyl is considered safe and effective when used and monitored in a medical setting, it carries a high abuse potential. And we're not talking about potential. We are talking about it carries high abuse. Okay? People are abusing it, period. There's no potential there. This just is what it is. Okay? When you go and check on how many deaths have occurred as a result of opiates, okay? I even think that y'all's President Trump is trying to sign a bill or has signed a bill or something for opiate people for trying to help people that are dying or hooked on opiates because of the amount of deaths, okay, that have been stemming from this drug. Okay? So, fentanyl analogs, designer drugs nearly identical to the original, can be manufactured and mixed with or substituted for heroin. Now, I call it heroin. That's how we called it back in the day. But it's heroin, okay? And this is what I'm getting into as it relates to Miss Lauren Braxton, okay? The mixing of the heroin and the fentanyl. Okay? Because fentanyl and its analogs are incredibly potent, accidental overdoses and death are increasingly common. Okay? So, fentanyl is sometimes mixed with heroin. Because it is much more potent than heroin, there is a hugely increase of overdose and death. Period. This is all in the first few paragraphs. So let's talk facts about fentanyl, okay? Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid that is very effective at relieving moderate to severe chronic pain. Oral formulation of fentanyl contains an amount of the drug that can be fatal to a child. The difference between a therapeutic dose and a deadly dose of fentanyl is very small. There are many illegal analogs and derivatives of fentanyl that are much stronger than the prescription version. Recreational users often use fentanyl as a substitute for heroin. Okay? Now, what is fentanyl? Fentanyl binds to the body's opioid receptors, increasing dopamine levels in the central nervous system. The increase in dopamine produces a state of relaxation, relieves pain, decreases the perception of suffering. Not that it decreases the suffering, but it decreases the way you perceive your suffering. Okay? And promotes a feeling of well-being, euphoria, which means basically you're just high and you forget that you're actually in pain because you're high. Okay? Not that it's healing or curing anything. It's just making you high so you ain't thinking about your pain no more. You understand what I'm saying? It's a trick. Okay? And too many people are getting hooked on the trick, on the smoke and mirrors. Okay? And before you know it, it's too late to do anything about it. And I think a lot of us know how hard it is for heroin addicts to kick heroin. They feel like they're going to die when they're trying to kick it. So a Schedule II prescription narcotic, fentanyl is roughly 100 times more potent than morphine. It's used to manage pain during surgery. Now, fentanyl depresses the respiratory centers and the cough reflex and constricts the pupils. It can work within minutes to relieve pain and produce sedation. Okay, make you go to sedate your body. Okay, out to lunch. Fentanyl has a short duration of effect, just 30 to 90 minutes. Fentanyl affects everyone differently. The effects are dependent on an individual's size, weight, overall state of health, and the amount that is taken. Whether fentanyl is taken in combination with other drugs and whether the person is used to taking opioids. Okay? Medically prescribed fentanyl is available in a variety of formulations, including lozenges, lollipops, and oral and nasal sprays and injections. So here we go. We have 4, 5, 6 different variations that can be prescribed to you. I do believe that I remember my grandmother might have had one of these lollipops. I think it was pink or something when she was dying, because she had a severe heart condition. And I do think that I remember she had this little pink lollipop or something that was inside of her mouth. That may have definitely been fentanyl. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that a while back I watched Intervention, and there was a young Asian lady on there, and this particular lady was an actress, and she had been on Star Trek, a few episodes of Star Trek, and somehow she got into a bad accident is what happened, and they put her on that lollipop, that fentanyl lollipop, and that had her twitching and out to lunch like a real addict. I mean, and it was so sad to see, to watch this particular intervention. If you guys can find it maybe on YouTube, go check it out. Intervention, and she was the actress. I cannot think of her name, but she was definitely an actress on Star Trek. Okay, and that had her wilding. Okay, so let's talk about this fentanyl patch. For continuous delivery, we have fentanyl can be administered through a transdermal patch, okay, that adheres to the skin. The patch works slowly, releasing fentanyl through the skin into the bloodstream over 48 to 72 hours. All right? A fentanyl patch is only used in patients who are already tolerant to opioid therapy of a similar strength. Because it has already been absorbed through skin, fentanyl can continue to be effective for 13 to 24 hours after the patch is removed. Now, mind you, my family member is wearing 2 patches at one time, and she's saying that her doctor will not take her off. And clearly, none of my other families are calling her doctor or reporting the doctor either. They're letting her. In my opinion, they're allowing her to kill herself. Period. Okay. But who am I? I'm way over here. They way over there. So. Now, they say abuse of fentanyl originally appeared in 1970s and has increased in recent years. The drug can be obtained by diverting the legitimate medical supplies, or it can be manufactured in illegal laboratories. Even discarded fentanyl patches can still contain a significant amount of the drug. Abusers remove the gel contents from the discarded patches and may eat it, place it under the tongue, smoke it, or even inject it. Okay? Making, my gosh. Individuals using heroin or cocaine or in a recovery for drug use disorder may not know the potency of street sold heroin, and cocaine can be significantly enhanced by adding fentanyl. Because the potency of such drug is not known and they are not told about the addition of fentanyl, any illicit drug use, even a reduced dose, can result in accidental overdose or death. Okay? Fentanyl may be used orally, smoked, snorted, or injected, and no one method of use is safer than the other. Now, these are the street names for it. So if you hear any of this, this is what you know. This is what it is. It's called Drop Dead, China White, Serial Killer, Shine, Apache, China Girl, Dance Fever, Good Fella, Jackpot, Murder 8, TNT, or Perco Pop. Okay. Close the door. Close the door, baby. Close the door. Excuse me, y'all. Come on in. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. All I said was close the door. Okay. Come on. You want to sit? Okay. So older patients are more likely than younger individuals to experience adverse effects. No. especially the respiratory depressant effects of fentanyl. Extreme caution and monitoring must be followed with this age group. Now, side effects of fentanyl include drowsiness, confusion, constipation, weakness, dry mouth, constricted pupils, unconscious. Ma'am, I'm not going to give you my tablets. You got your own out there. Constricted pupils, unconsciousness, slowed respiration, decreased heart rate, nausea, sweating and flushing, confusion, stiff and rigid muscles, tight feeling in the throat, difficulty in concentrating. Okay? The risks. Physical dependency results in withdrawal symptoms when individuals abruptly stop taking the drug. Withdrawal symptoms usually start within 12 hours of the last dose of fentanyl and can last 1 week or more. An individual in withdrawal may experience dilated pupils, vomiting, diarrhea, goosebumps, runny nose, hot and cold flashes, chills, anxiety, agitation, and insomnia, severe generalized pain. Okay? Now, let's talk about overdose. Fentanyl can result in an accidental death even with just one dose, especially if it is taken incorrectly or by someone other than the person with the prescription. Now, the signs and symptoms of a fentanyl overdose include slow or shallow breathing, okay, slow heartbeat, severe sleepiness, cold and clammy skin, trouble walking or talking, feeling faint, dizzy, or confused, or unresponsiveness, okay? And that is because it relaxes the respiratory system and the central nervous system. It shuts everything down, okay? So you may think that that's not what you're trying to do. Nobody ever really intends to overdose. You know, I mean, there are some people, but, you know, especially right now, we're talking in the wake of Etika committing suicide. You know, people try to find different ways to relieve themselves of pain. And most people that do commit suicide are trying to relieve themselves of pain. Whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, whatever it is, okay? They just want the pain to stop, okay? And there are lots of people who do decide to relieve themselves of any one of those pains by self-medicating. Oh, baby Etika. Anyway, preventing fentanyl overdose. Fentanyl is sometimes used as a substitute for heroin and opiate-dependent individuals. Pure fentanyl powder is very difficult to dilute appropriately, often resulting in dangerously strong mixture. It can be deadly for people who have a high opioid tolerance. Okay? The minimum legal dosage of fentanyl is estimated to be 250 UG, which is micrograms. And many fatal overdoses thought to be from heroin are actually due to fentanyl. Coroner's offices and state crime laboratories do not test for fentanyl and its analogs unless given a specific reason to do so. So if somebody tells you that they died of heroin, you may want to have them check and see if fentanyl was somewhere involved, because it looks the same. It presents itself the same, okay? It prevents itself the same, okay? No, Zion. Girl, please. Girl, please. You don't have no owie. You ain't even did nothing. Oh, you so fake. You so fake. You so fake. Okay, the product labeling for fentanyl patches specifically mentions the need to dispose of used patches by folding the sticky sides together and flushing the patch down the toilet. You have to flush it down the toilet so no one can get to it. Zion, cut it out. No, ma'am. Oh, God. Now, although Fentanyl overdoses can be reversed with naloxone. Um, Because of the high potency of non-pharmaceutical fentanyl, higher or multiple doses of naloxone may be required to revive an individual. Okay? So the conclusion at hand. This is what happens when you take the baby's pacifier because you're trying to wean her off. Everything is extra. Everything is extra. She touched the toothpaste talking about she got an owie. Anywho. Hey, you gotta be quiet. Where? Now, it does say that some patients and healthcare providers may not be fully aware of the dangers of this very strong narcotic. All of society, including families, schools, the medical community, law enforcement, and government officials, should be aware of the potentially lethal outcomes of improper medical and illicit fentanyl uses. Okay? So, I would really love to show you. Maybe I can find on here. This one probably right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and find this one and link it. It's a BBC 3 channel on YouTube. And it's called Fentanyl in Hull. Deadlier than heroin. Drugs Map of Britain. And this is how they look. Laid out. This is how my family member be off of that damn fentanyl patch. Okay, so yeah, you guys, I'm gonna leave this link down there and I'm gonna put it into the description bar so you guys can see it. But for real, if you know anybody that's on that fentanyl, those patches, abusing it, let them know that it's definitely just a matter of time before it kills them, because it's extremely potent. And so if they have a death wish, I would advise you guys to go on ahead and make sure that you guys can get some life insurance. Well, it's probably too late for life insurance, but make sure you guys start doing y'all car washes and y'all GoFundMe pages, because ultimately once they're hooked, it's almost just like a waiting game. And for a lot of family members, that's like a load off of their shoulders. It's like a stress that they be ready to not deal with anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how that can be fixed. I don't know how we can eradicate it. I don't know. But I do know that it's a real thing. And this young lady at 24 years old, I don't care what her family was doing, how rich they were, there was no amount of anything that could get her off of that, clearly. And this was the end result. So I do want to say to T.I., you was mad because somebody TMZ outed Miss Precious for her cocaine or drug use, whatever use it was. Okay, well, the Braxtons is being outed for, what their niece was doing as well. So, it's a part of life, and this is actually what's happening. So I really hope that the Braxtons embrace this and they take this time to have something to do with drug awareness or opioid awareness or something like that. Especially because it sits so close to home. She got an attitude now, y'all. So, especially because it hits so close to home. You know what I'm saying? This is y'all's opportunity to really make a real difference. Instead of all the bickering and all the yelling and fussing and fighting and all of the carrying on, looking crazy and acting crazy y'all be doing. You know what I'm saying? This is a time for y'all to really shine. Let's see what y'all really about at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, but I just wanted y'all to know that fentanyl is killing and it don't discriminate. Alright? So I'm going to tell y'all like this. Say no to drugs, man. Say no to drugs. Alright? I'm gone. All that whining she was doing. Here we are. 5 minutes later.
4,000 rescues and counting. It's the 5th annual robot battle. Escape. Your robot is inferior.
Kids.
Ours exceeds yours.
They be so extra sometimes.
Oh snap.